right, so as Denise said, my name's David Bresser, and I'm the head swim coach here at St. Mary. I know with the lead up and the hints that were out there that some of you were expecting someone more exciting or more prestigious, but for the person who guessed Bill Self, I'm sorry to disappoint. But I do want to share my story of my purpose and my passion and my persistence to get here. I'd like to speak a little about each of those aspects, but then give you a chance to ask me questions, because I feel I'm better at facilitating a discussion and being more interactive than just lecturing you about how to live your life. I do hope I demonstrate how small things and small moments can make a difference. My hope for each of you is to be a kind person, help those around you, be a good citizen, set a good example, and find your purpose through passion and persistence. And when I look around the room, I see my swimmers, I see determination, I see potential. I see a group of athletes who are learning one of life's greatest truths, that the habits that you build right now in the pool, on the field, in the classroom, they don't just shape who you are as competitors, but they'll shape who you are for the rest of your life. So let's first start with some background about me. So how did I get to this point, being the swim coach at St. Mary? I'm going to start with one of the lowest points of my life. I was struggling with a very difficult job while deployed to Iraq in 2008. I was a future operations planner working for the multinational Corps Iraq in Baghdad. It may sound exciting, but essentially, I just sat in a dark room developing plans that would never be executed. Then I presented those plans to general officers who yelled at me just to make corrections on slides. It was long days, and I dreaded each one. The guidance to us was 16-6-2, 16 hours of work every day, 6 hours of sleep, and 2 hours to take care of yourself, personal hygiene and working out. And that was 7 days a week, never a day off. So for me, I would typically do my workout in the morning at about 4:30 a.m., which consisted of either running outside in the dark or working out in the gym. I still remember one morning riding the stationary bike in the gym, listening to my headphones, reading my book, and I looked up after a good hard workout and saw no one around me. Nobody was left in the gym. I guess I didn't hear the incoming siren for the incoming rounds that were coming, and no one bothered to tell me on their way out. So I was still just there biking away. But I also remember watching Super Bowl 42 from a stationary bike, when David Tyree made the helmet catch when the Giants beat the Patriots. But another at least quick fun story about my time in Iraq. Often on Saturday mornings, some group or unit would host a 5K or a 10K on Liberty Base. And that was our way of getting out of the office for just a little bit. It was normally a low-key event, but usually it offered a free t-shirt. So that usually got more people out to do it. But during a run like that, early in the morning, we still always had the threat of enemy attack, which included incoming indirect fire. But before each race, they would brief us on the route, where the bunkers were along the route, and what to do if we were attacked. They also had to mention that the race would be over at that point, which I really thought was kind of obvious. But one morning, after we got the brief, someone from the back goes, "Hey, do we still get that shirt?" But on Sunday mornings, we were allowed a little extra time for ourselves. Time to go to church, time to rest a little, maybe time to go get a coffee with friends. I found access to a pool. Saddam Hussein had built some ornate and gaudy palaces, which often included pools. But by the way, also the palace had some awesome toilets. So that proverbial throne, and that was also a way to get away from the office each day. And those bathrooms also had beautiful views outside. So at least there was a way to get away for a moment each day. But back to the pools. Most of them were empty. But I found two that had water, and mostly clear water. One was in the green zone, which I only visited occasionally, but I was determined to find a time to swim in that pool. But the other was on the Australian compound, which was on Liberty Base where I worked. And we would also often look from afar and see them laying out by the pool or in the evenings having cookouts, and we were all jealous. I know it doesn't really sound like a war zone, but we really kind of wanted to get our time in there. One of the guys I worked with was a Marine. He was also a Naval Academy grad. who was also a swimmer a few years ahead of me at Navy. We both wanted to swim. And so we searched that, and we found a contact with the Australian delegation who agreed to give us the code to the pool to allow us to swim on our own. So we tried to swim every Sunday morning in this odd-shaped pool with no lanes and no black lines. Sunday mornings were something to look forward to. Going to Mass and getting a swim. But when I was dreading each day, I would try to find little things to motivate or get me through each terrible day. So I started to keep an Excel spreadsheet to track my workouts and try to find one positive thing each day. Each day was horrible, but I figured I could find at least one good thing each day. Sometimes it was simple as they had chocolate chip cookies at the dining facility, or that there was a full moon, like tonight, and knowing that my kids could also see that same moon. Or the new ducklings around the Awfall Palace, or that I got to swim. So I tried to persevere and keep myself going. I was counting down the days. So I started to write down some aspirations for what I wanted to do when I got home, back with my family and back to doing something better. And as I reflected on how to persevere, I made a list. I still remember the first thing I wrote down. I want to make a difference. Number 2 was, I want to be someone's hero and not know it. For me, my purpose is simple. I want to make a difference. I want to be someone's hero and never even know it. That's what drives me. That's what got me through the toughest days in Iraq and through 2 more deployments to Afghanistan. That's what keeps me showing up on the pool deck day after day. Because purpose isn't about medals or trophies or applause, it's about impact. The quiet kind that lasts long after you've left the room. There were times in my military career when things got difficult. Long deployments, unpredictable missions, moments where fear and fatigue set in. And I would remind myself, this isn't just about me. Someone is counting on me to do my job. My soldiers are counting on me to be steady when everything else feels uncertain. My family is counting on me to return safe. And that same mindset carries into coaching. So every athlete I coach may not remember every set we swam or every time that I wanted them to kick harder in practice. And by the way, swim coaches were doing this 6-7 thing long before this silly meme. But every coach may not remember every workout or every time that I scream go or try to get in their face on the pool deck. But maybe one day, when they face a tough moment in life, they'll remember something I said. Maybe they'll remember that I believed in them when they didn't believe in themselves. That's what purpose looks like. It's about leaving people a little better than you found them. It's about leaving your world a little better than you found it. It can be as simple as saying hello, or picking up trash on your way to class, or asking someone how they're doing. But purpose gives you direction, and passion gives you the energy to keep moving. My passions are family, swimming, and helping others. I encourage you to find something that you're good at, or maybe something that you're not good at, but you really enjoy doing. Possibly pursue passions as hobbies. But there's one thing that separates average from great, and that's passion. When you're a college athlete, passion is what gets you up at 5 a.m. when everyone else is asleep. It makes you push through that last 100 yards, or make those last 5 100s of twister set when you really, really want to quit. But there's something I've learned along the way. You don't have to make your passion your career. You can find something you're good at and do it with excellence. But still keep your passions alive in the things that feed your soul. Family gives me my foundation, my why. Swimming keeps me grounded. It reminds me of who I am and what discipline, commitment, grit and teamwork look like. My family has always been my biggest inspiration and my biggest supporters, from my parents to my sisters to my wife and to my kids. They've shown me what it means to care deeply, to stay strong through challenges, and to support others no matter what. My passion for family isn't just about love, it's about carrying those values with me in everything I do. Then there's swimming, waking up before sunrise, diving into the cold water, pushing through the exhaustion. It wasn't easy, and still not easy, but swimming taught me discipline, patience, and the power of consistency. It reminded me that passion isn't just excitement, it's commitment. It's showing up even when it's hard. Together, those passions led me to something even greater, a passion for helping others. My family taught me to care, swimming taught me to persevere, and now I want those lessons to make a difference in others' lives. Passion gives life direction. It turns that purpose and dreams into impact. So to all of you, don't panic if your major or your career path doesn't perfectly align with your passion. After all, I was an engineering major in college, and I never did anything with it. Or you can fly helicopters and be in the Army for 25 years and still be a swimmer at heart. You can chase a career in nursing or business, medicine, or education and still keep that fire that sports gave you. Because passion isn't about what you do, it's about what makes you come alive. And that brings me to my third P, persistence. Getting through a marathon, graduating from West Point, enduring a 12-month deployment, or getting the team started here at St. Mary required persistence. In 2018, as I was getting ready to retire from the Army, I had this bright idea that maybe St. Mary would be receptive to starting a swim team. After all, I had access to a new pool at Lansing High School. It was already underutilized. I knew USM was looking to expand their athletic offerings. And my passion to be involved with college athletics led me to trying to contact the athletic director here. It took numerous calls, many unanswered emails, and contacting others who might have an in. I finally got an office call to talk about my move out of the military and into civilian life, and hopefully into academic administration. But during that meeting, I dropped the hint about starting a swim team here with Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller said no. They were already pursuing another sport. I was disappointed, but not deterred. I wasn't going to give up. I still thought it might be something that might be in the future. But I did find out that the wait wasn't long. About 2 weeks later, I was presenting at a monthly session about high school sports here on campus. And Mr. Miller saw me in the hallway and mentioned about coming back to see him about my crazy idea. So about a week later, I walked in his office, and I was surprised because he was joined by Dr. Zimmerman and the associate AD at the time. Not what I was really expecting. And then they said they wanted to pursue the idea of starting swimming and liked my plan. And I was like, great, this is awesome. So I excitedly told them about what the team would look like, how it would entail, where they could recruit, where they should go, and what the facility use would look like. And they said, great, and we'd like to hire you as the coach. I wasn't prepared for that and said I needed a chance to talk to my wife and family. And that same day, I was offered a position on Fort Leavenworth to teach at Command General Staff College. So Devin and I talked, and we decided to give my passion of coaching swimming a try. It could be a miserable failure, but I'm glad Mr. Miller and Zim took a chance on an inexperienced coach to start the team here. So now after 8 years, I'll let you decide if it's been worthwhile. It has been for me, and I determine it a success. Getting to this point with this amazing and great team was a challenge, and it took persistence, perseverance to grow and improve. The first year we had 11 swimmers. Now we have 40. My swimmers have probably heard me say this before. Take care of the little things, and the big things will take care of themselves. It's what my high school coach said all the time, and something that I've used through my college career, and now it's been my philosophy in coaching, at the pool, and in life. In swimming, It's the turns, it's the starts, it's the streamlines, it's the breathing, it's the constant listening to your coach. It's those little things. And in swimming, with many other sports, you can lose a race by hundredths of a second. And those hundredths live in the details. In my time in the military, it was the attention to detail. It was the pre-flight checks, the precision to land at a landing zone at night, plus or minus 30 seconds. It was the trust that I had in my team to get me there. And in life, it's the habits, the consistency, the way you treat people every day, and when no one's watching. Persistence isn't glamorous. It's not loud. It's doing the work every single day, even when no one's cheering. If purpose is your why and passion is your fuel, persistence is your grit. The ability to keep moving when everything is a struggle. There have been times when I wanted to quit, but persistence taught me success isn't about never failing or falling. It's about getting up every time. As a coach, I see persistence in the small things. An athlete showing up after a bad meet, fighting through a tough workout, like tonight. It was fun to watch. They may not have fun. But staying late, or a swimmer staying late to work on a start or a turn, or during another rep on the power tower, just something to master it. Those moments build champions and create success. So persistence doesn't always look heroic. Sometimes it's just quiet consistency, showing up, doing the work, and trusting the process, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. That's how you build strength. That's how you build character. That's how you make a difference. There were plenty of times in my life when things didn't go according to plan. In swimming, I've missed goals I set. In the military, I faced missions that scared me and trying times that almost broke me, like my time in Iraq. As a coach, I've had seasons that tested my patience. But here's what persistence taught me. You can't control everything, but you can control your effort, your attitude, and your preparation. And when you take care of those little things every day, life has a way of taking care of the big things. So I want to just leave you with a few words of advice. Number one, find your purpose. Find what motivates you and gives you joy. When I was younger, I thought purpose meant achieving big goals, hitting certain times, winning races, and getting recognition. But as I matured, I realized purpose isn't about what you achieve, it's about who you help along the way. That's why my purpose, making a difference, is at the center of everything I do, especially as a coach. Coaching isn't just about helping athletes swim faster or jump higher or run faster or work harder. It's about helping them believe in themselves, helping them see what they're capable of, even when they don't see it. Number two, make every day worthwhile. Look for the small things in everyday life that make you smile. For me, it was getting a care package filled with chocolate chip cookies from my mom or my wife or my sister. And when I was a teenager, I loved motivational quotes, and I had all kinds of good ones hanging around my bedroom. These were inspirational quotes from great leaders. And as I mentioned already, that my hero was my dad. Anyway, I was always looking for him to provide me with my next great quote to hang on my wall, but it never came. He never gave me these powerful, motivating words of wisdom or advice. But then I realized that he said it every day with just 5 simple words. Be careful, I love you. Hearing those words, I knew he was always there to support me. I remember when I was a plebe at West Point, going through Beast, wanting to quit so bad. We only got 1 phone call per week. And the first week, my family was still enjoying a vacation on the East Coast, visiting New York and Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. and other cities, so I didn't get a chance to talk to them. So it wasn't until the second week when I finally got to talk to my mom and dad. And by that point, I was ready to quit. I was looking for my dad to give me encouragement to tough it out. And I told him it was incredibly hard, I hated it, and it was not what I expected. And I was ready to come home. And instead of him encouraging me, he just said, I'll be there tomorrow to pick you up if you want. I was shocked, but that was what gave me the motivation to continue. I knew that he was there to support me. Now I want to prove to myself that I could make it. And I knew I could with his support. And after I hung up the phone, after that short, tear-filled, 5-minute conversation, he said, "Be careful, I love you." Number 3, define your own success. Determine what success means to you. Then go work your butt off to achieve it. Don't live up to someone else's definition, because when you live with passion, you don't just succeed, you inspire. So here's what I've learned. Purpose gives your work meaning and direction. It's your why. Passion keeps you motivated and gives you energy. It's your love. Persistence keeps you moving when motivation fades. It's your grit. You need all 3. But when you bring them together, that's when you find fulfillment. That's when you make a difference. So as you go through your college career, you'll experience highs and lows. You'll experience wins and losses, success and failure, victories and disappointment. That's part of it. But remember, every time you show up, every time you give your best, and every time you help a teammate, you're making a difference. I'm reminded of the story of the boy walking along the beach filled with hundreds, thousands of starfish that had washed ashore. He was picking them up one at a time and throwing them back. A man sees him, comes up to him and says, "What are you doing? There are hundreds of starfish. You can't possibly make a difference." The boy picks one up, throws it back, smiles, looks at the man, and says, "I made a difference to that one." But someday, years from now, someone might say, "You probably don't remember this, but something you said, something you did, changed how I looked at myself." And that's what it means to live with purpose, to be someone's hero and never even know it. So, keep your passions alive, take care of the little things. My purpose is to make a difference. My passions are family, swimming, and helping others. And I persevere every day to live those out as a coach, as a colleague, as a father, as a husband, and as a person. And trust that if you live with purpose, passion, and persistence, the big things will always take care of themselves. Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
Give it up! Thank you so much.